Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Good Dram Show with me, Chris Goodrum. Right, okay, this afternoon we're having a look at tequila again. Seem to be doing quite a lot of that recently, but you know, there are other spirits than whiskey, so it's always nice to sort of explore something a bit different. Why am I doing tequila today? Well, when we first started stocking tequila, when I first looked at putting together a range of white spirits for the shop, people would come in and ask for this Patron stuff. Now, Patron, after I did some digging, seemed to be one of these kind of brands that really sort of like splits opinion. On the one hand, you have people that say the tequila that they produce is probably some of the best tequila, bar none. And on the other hand, you have people that are basically saying, no, it's rubbish, it's all hyped, it's all sort of about expensive bottles of tequila and swanky doos and all this kind of stuff, and it's, you know, it's very divisive. But like with everything, you know, I wanted to sort of taste it and make up my own mind rather than be swayed by other people. And fortunately enough, the rather nice rep from Patron dropped into the shop the other day with, unfortunately, neither of the very expensive ones, but that's by the by, but the standard range. I mean, as far as I can see, the company hasn't been going for very long at all. It was founded in 1989 and apparently based in Las Vegas. They, like I said, are mostly renowned for two very expensive bottlings that they produce. One is called the Grand Patron Platinum, which is triple distilled tequila, aged for, and doesn't state how long it's aged for, but aged for a period of time, and then has the colour removed from it, so it looks like the silver again. And for that, they want to charge 168 quid, which is fair enough. But anyway, that's not the most expensive one they do. The most expensive bottle is called the Grand Burdos, which is aged for a minimum of 12 months in French and American oak, like the Anejo. But then after that, it's distilled once again, and then they finish the aging process in Bordeaux wine casks. So that comes in at £440. I mean, sounds interesting, but you know, whether you'd sort of be prepared to, you know, fork out 400 odd quid for something that sounds interesting is, yeah, one of those things. But anyway, today we're not going to be looking at either of those. We're going to be looking at the more modestly priced range that they do. So I guess that's probably about enough waffling, and I'll introduce this afternoon's lineup. Right, okay, so this afternoon we're going to start obviously with the silver. All of these three tequilas are bottled at 40%. It's just, like I say, it's triple distilled. Obviously it's unaged, and you know, the thing about sort of unaged tequila is that it's all about the intensity of the agave, and the agave that Patron uses is the Weber blue agave that grows in Jalisco. Each of the it's all distilled in small batches, as you would expect from you know, a boutique product, and so it'll be interesting to see if this is as good as some of the other tequilas that I've tasted. The Reposado spends about, well, a minimum of 2 months in oak. I mean, as you can see, that the colour is very, very light. Certainly, if you sort of compare it to, say, something like the Herradura Reposado, that certainly has or the Reposado, this Reposado I should say, has a lot lighter colour, so it probably sees, like I said, about 2 months in the oak. It sort of barely kisses it. The Anejo, like most tequilas, is aged for a minimum of 12 years in 12 months in if it's been aged for 12 years, it would be sort of like a lot darker than that, but it's aged for about sort of 12 months in casks. So as we would expect that from previous tastings of tequila, the silver obviously has the freshness and the intensity of the agave, and as you go further along, you tend to get more of the vanilla and the oak character. So we'll see if that is indeed true. As you may well have spotted, there is a fourth bottle in this particular lineup, and no, your eyes do not deceive you. It is indeed that colour. This is what they call the XO Cafe. Well, that kind of gives it away, doesn't it? It's basically silver tequila mixed with coffee essence. Only bottled at 35%. No idea why. But as with a lot of liqueurs, they do seem to be sort of bottled at a lower strength. Probably so. It can be sweet and sickly, I guess. That's probably the only reason. But anyway, so we'll come to that one last, and we'll see what coffee essence and tequila tastes like. So looking forward to that one. So right, best start with the silver. Okay, let's see what the silver gives us then, shall we? Now that is nice. That is a nice nose. That's got lots of really intense, really natural, peppery, pulped agave fruit. A little bit of perfume, slight floral note, and a sort of a youthful, almost sort of youthful cereal kind of character. That sort of cereally kind of note that I tend to find certainly on new make whiskey, certainly is there. But that intensity of agave fruit is really, really impressive. Like I said, gently peppery, really fresh. Yeah, that's good. That's nice tequila. Well, certainly the nose is very impressive. Let's see if the palate is then. Ooh. That's a peppery mouthful and a half. Ooh. It's got quite creamy. Again, it's like this really intense, fleshy agave fruit. Really natural. A little bit of citrus now on the aftertaste. Really pungent, really intense. Lovely intensity that. Like I said, real pepperiness. It's good tequila. Well, certainly the silver is very, very good. Yeah, maybe it is all about the sort of flash marketing and all that kind of stuff, and that kind of detracts at the end of the day from the quality of the whatever the producer is making. It often seems to be the case. Sometimes being understated is a better thing. But anyway, yeah, that's nice. Like that. Okay, let's move on to the Reposado then. Like I said, minimum of 2 months aging in oak, and judging from the colour, probably not a great deal longer than that. So let's have a look at the nose. Well, as you'd expect, it's creamier. There's a little bit more. There's a little bit of oak, a little bit of that sort of creamy vanilla, but it still has some nice intensity from the agave. Fleshy. A little bit more floral now, maybe a little bit more citrus, touch of herbalness now. Yeah, that's nice. It's kind of slightly sort of taken the edge off the sort of the sort of raw natural character of the silver, and yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, like I said. Fleshy, creamy, not quite so peppery, but there's a little bit of it there. Palate. Smooth, creamy, a little bit of caramel, vanilla. Um, Not a huge amount. You still get a nice intensity of that sort of fleshy agave fruit. Again, real peppery hit at the finish. A little bit of citrus. A little bit drier on the finish, obviously. That's what the oak is adding. Just a little bit of bitterness, but it's got some nice creaminess and some nice sort of fleshy, pulpy fruit, which does sort of offset it to a certain extent. And then the bitterness is actually quite pleasant. It's quite refreshing. Yeah, that's pleasant. I mean, I think certainly so far, you know, tasting the actual spirit itself, and you know, forgetting about all the frippery that goes around with it, you know, the spirit is pretty good. So, yeah. Right, okay, on to the Anejo. Like I said, minimum of 12 months in cask, so we're expecting obviously you know, a bit more wood and a bit less fruit. So let's see. Yeah, it's almost got a kind of a whiskey-like kind of character to it now. Certainly the oak is quite dominant, quite sweet, although not overly sweet. Plenty of vanillins, and I tell you what, I reckon if you stuck that in a whiskey tasting, say something like a, I don't know, Spey, or yeah, probably Speyside tasting, and slip this one in, yeah, it might actually sneak under the radar, because it's definitely got a whiskey-like character. Really nice. A little bit of perfume, you know. Like I said, I reckon you could slip this into a whiskey tasting, and it would take sort of someone with a very good nose to sort of like pick this one out as a. They might think it's a little bit odd, but no, that's nice. A little bit of citrus coming out. Palate then. You wouldn't mistake it for whiskey on the palate, it has to be said. So as soon as you tasted it, the game would be up. Nice peppery. It's got a little bit more floral now, a little bit more touch of violet maybe on the finish. Very long. Again, not hugely oaked. I mean, certainly some toasted caramels, some vanilla. But that's given it some real depth, and seems to have given it some real length, and not bitter at all. That the finish has got a nice citrusy sort of nip, and it just seems to me that that's really good. I mean, again, basically that's about what the Anejo, about 50 quid. Yeah, that's pretty good spirit for 50 quid, I would say. Yeah, enjoyable. That's good. That's very good spirit. And finally, oh, this one. God, look at the colour of that, will you? It sort of looks like sweet sherry. Got a sort of a slight kind of greenish hue to it. Now, I will say I'm not the greatest fan of liqueurs, it has to be said, but I mean, this sounds bizarre. I mean, you know, coffee and tequila. Anyway, let's let's see what this one gives us then, shall we? Yeah, that's peculiar. Not in a nasty way, it has to be said. It's kind of working on two levels. You've got a kind of like a density of kind of almost camp coffee kind of character, you know, really thick and treacly, and and then above it, coming through, you kind of get this the silver tequila character, the sort of pulpy, intense agave, and it's weird. It's truly peculiar. I'd be hard pressed to say that I've smelt anything quite like it. I mean, it's kind of sweet and sour at the same time. I mean, it's not unpleasant. It's just peculiar, just weird. Palate then. God, sweet, intense. It's more about the coffee essence really on the palate. Chocolatey coffee, sweet. It doesn't have enough alcohol really to basically counteract that cloying sweet finish. I mean, you know, personally, I can't see why they wouldn't bottle it at 40%. 40% would give you a little bit more hit from the alcohol, and it would cleanse the finish. And that's the biggest issue that I have with pretty much every liqueur that I've ever tasted, is that there's just not enough alcohol, and it's just too sweet. I mean, I don't know. Maybe obviously people like this kind of stuff, but yeah, okay, I can kind of vaguely taste some tequila going on there, but it's all just coffee. If it's your cup of tea, then fine. You know, me personally, it's yeah. I've actually only ever tasted one coffee liqueur that I could say I actually really liked, and that's the Zvidam Cafe, produced by Millstone Distillery in Holland. Although they don't use their own spirit, they just use cognac. You know, but anyway, I digress. It's yeah, it is what it is, I guess. If you like coffee liqueurs, you're probably going to go a bundle on that. Me, not really my thing at all. But anyway, probably time to wrap this up then, I think. Okay, right, Patron. Well, the spirit they're producing is pretty good, I think. It's, like I said, I think obviously the marketing hoo-ha and all that kind of stuff obviously gets in the way. I don't know what it is. It probably just annoys people. It gets people's goat up, you know. But I think if you forget about all of that and you just actually taste the spirit itself, you realise that the spirit is actually pretty good. The silver is really nice. Got such an intensity and a natural kind of flavour to it. Yeah, and yeah, I think it's probably I like that. I like that sort of intensity. The reposado, yeah, again, it's not bad. It bitters a little bit of the finish. It's probably not been left enough in the wood for long enough, I should say. Because certainly, if you taste the Anejo is gorgeous. Really soft, long, no bitterness whatsoever. I think from a personal opinion, and I'd hate to sort of like teach him to suck eggs, but I think the reposado actually needs something doing to it. It needs some work. It probably needs a little longer in the oak. Maybe this sort of like couple of months is just sort of like not enough. It just adds a bit too much bitterness. I don't know. It's surprising because you would have thought that sort of a longer period of time in the wood would give you more bitter tannins. But obviously, just such a short spell, it's not dragging enough of the sort of like pleasant wood character and taking just sort of like the bitterness. I mean, certainly in whiskey, the initial stages of maturing in barrel, it's basically the wood is taking away more than it actually gives to the spirit. It's kind of taking away the impurities, and it's only after a sort of like several years does the oak actually start to impart character rather than take it away. But certainly for me, I think the standout two bottlings are the silver and the añejo, but and well, you know, we'll forget about this coffee liqueur flavoured thing. It's probably a bit unfair of me to review it, as liqueurs are not my kind of cup of tea. But I suppose, looking at it from a kind of objective perspective, I suppose it ticks all the boxes. It tastes of coffee. It's got a little bit of alcohol. Bob's your uncle, I suppose. But personally, it's not my thing at all. But like I say, coming back to the actual quality of the spirit, I think the quality of the spirit they're producing is really, really good. And I think, forget about sort of all the advertising and all the hoo-ha and all the other kind of associated sort of stuff, and just concentrate on what's in the bottle. And I think the trouble is that people lose sight of that at the end of the day. Certainly with brands that do tend to sort of over advertise themselves and big themselves up, for want of a better word. People just lose sight of the fact of what the stuff in the bottle is actually about. So anyway, that's enough of my soapboxing. Anyway, I haven't actually put these tasting notes up on my WordPress blog, but you can go along and have a look at all the other sort of stuff that I've posted up on there. Whether or not I actually get them in or not, I'm kind of undecided at the moment. I mean, I don't know. You tell me. If you are you going to buy Patron from me? If you're prepared to do that, then I'll stick them on the list. But I don't sell enough of it to warrant having sort of 2 tequilas, and I'm quite happy with Herradura, which they'll be pleased to hear. It's a little bit cheaper. But I will say that if you're into your tequilas, then certainly, like I said, go and have a look and taste some Patron. Incidentally, I like the bottles. The bottles are really quite smart. Apparently, they're all handcrafted, and even this thing, it's got a really funky bottle. It has to be said. You don't worry about that when it comes to actually the quality of the spirit, but in passing, nothing wrong with a bit of funky bottling or a funky bottle shape or whatever. Anyway, time for me to shut up and basically say good dramming and good afternoon.
Follow